August 17th, ladies and gentlemen, and still there is no answer to what happened to Nolan Wells. That's some crazy work. People get upset for way less. Have you seen somebody upset at a restaurant when they're not getting their proper food that they paid for? They would turn that building upside down. But a human being found 48 hours later, Mississippi just throws that case underneath the rug. And for the people that say, "Oh man, just move on," well, if it was one of your own, if it was your friend or family member, you would have want people to find the answers of what transpired to your beloved. Or is it because people don't give two F's because it doesn't apply to them? That's some crazy work. Imagine being so selfish that we don't care about the next person because it doesn't have no relevance to their personal life. People like to cry victim. They want to complain about first world problems. But when you really compare your issues to the next person, especially for the people that's not living, such as Nolan Wells, your problems are not really that significant. We gotta stop the cap. Now let's go on with the content for the people that don't know who Nolan Wells is, because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, people don't know who Nolan Wells is. That's some crazy work. Xavier Wells was an 18-year-old student athlete of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, whose mysterious disappearance and subsequent death on July 4th, the 4th of July, sparked the national attention and intense civil rights conversation on ongoing legal battles. A recent high school graduate and wide receiver signed to play at the Southwest Mississippi Community College. Wells went missing during a massive holiday beach gathering on Horn Island. His body was found 2 days later in the shoreline waters. The lack of immediate answers has fueled immense internet speculation, racial tensions, and a complex web of legal cross claims. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's type the question that made me even go into this case because when I heard that his neck was missing, I was like, nah, bro, y'all capping. It's Nolan Wells' neck missing. Isn't that a crazy thing to type up on Google? Is Nolan Wells' neck missing? What kind of shit is that? No, Nolan Wells' neck is not physically missing. The widespread rumor that his neck or throat was missing stems from a misunderstanding of preliminary findings from his family independent second autopsy. The actual facts regarding the autopsy include retention of internal organs. The private forensic pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell, noted that he did not receive Wells' internal neck structures, including the trachea, thorax, cartilage, and hyoid bone, when the body was transferred to him. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner Office retained these internal tissues during the initial autopsy for specialized testing. The National Association of Medical Examiners confirms that retaining these parts for detailed laboratory or radiographic examination is a common and routine forensic practice. Stop the cow. What y'all talk? So, ladies and gentlemen, when you do an autopsy, of course, it's a common practice to remove the organs, but the higher brawn and the trachea, stop the cap. So even Google's capping. They have really covered their tracks. Even Google AI is capping? Bruh. So I just typed in a simple Google search and they talking about no, his neck was not missing. So they got to protect their eyes from all corners. That's some crazy work. Because of these specific internal organs were missing from the second examination, Dr. Mitchell could not definitely rule out the neck injuries or perform manual strangulation. Bro, obviously he got stabbed or something happened to him. Also, there's a new video of somebody getting choke slam, body slam in a body of water. Nobody helped. Everybody was watching, guilty by bystander, and it was recording. So if it wasn't Nolan, who was it? That's all I'm trying to find. Because on this platform, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to talk about the facts. We're not going to talk about stay away from the white man as if the white man is going to stop you from going outside. We got to stop the cap. People really making videos talking about stay away from the white man. You can't trust white people. Well, first of all, as a minority, we have to use our spirit of discernment. We also got to have self accountability. How in your right mind, even though he grew up with these friends, how in the right mind do you think it's okay to party in the island when you're a minority? And he's been doing that. And also, what I take from this unfortunate situation is that be careful of the circle around it, because not because of racism, but because people have hidden agendas, ladies and gentlemen. When you're upcoming in life, you were excelling. He just was about to play football, and he's a minority. He's in shape. He's a ladies' man. This, that, and the third. He's an awesome student. The next man is not happy, and now you're around the next man. Man, he's wishing upon your downfall. So Nolan Wells' friends, even though, because we can't accuse nobody until there is physical proof, and that's one thing we're not going to do on this channel is accuse people. We can speculate, we can put the clues together, but we're not just going to go verbatim and say Nolan Wells' friends is guilty. No. But one thing we can say for sure is that how is Nolan Wells' friends not going to know any business of where he's at? The minority, the ninja on the island, it's over how many miles long? 10 miles long, over 1K people on that island, and nobody saw the ninja on the island. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, as a minority, you know what time it is. As soon as you step outside, people know. As soon as you step out the building of your own place, as soon as you go to the grocery store, people know where your minority, your ninja ass is in the store. They know your ass is coming from a 6 mile radius. But nobody saw the ninja on the island. Stop the cap. Let's go to the audio.
Our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at? All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How many? All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So he denies help from the United States Coast Guard. Why did you call in the first place? You're getting help previously before you made the call, but you calling for help. Then when she asks, do you want assistance? If you're drowning, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of people talking about racism, and with these unfortunate situations, they're exposing the hidden hate within their heart. Let's talk about the facts. If you're sinking, 30 feet of water is on your boat, you would get help from anybody. Shit, matter of fact, you get help from your ops and y'all can fight later. But in the meantime, you need help because you're drowning. Your life is on the line. That's not something to play with. So the dispatcher is talking about, do you want help? He denies the help. So what was the purpose in calling? So she could know your coordinates because he was receiving help prior for him calling the dispatcher for help. And through that situation, he exposed what transpired that day because let's go back to the audio. If you listen closely, you hear somebody in the background saying, shut the F up. Why did that person say that? So they can hear the dispatcher? No, because he knew that he was going to incriminate himself the more he talked. So he was like, bro, shut up, bro. And the dispatcher, her spirit of discernment, her antennas rose to where she's coming back and saying, is everybody on the boat okay? You can hear the tone, the energy of the responsive one. He's talking about, yeah, everybody is okay.
Our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right. Of course. How far is the warden coming up, sir? How far is the warden coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just thinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
Yeah, I think my microphone was on mute. My apologies. We got to stop the cap talking about Nolan Wells wasn't seen on the island and he was washed up on shore. How was he washed up on shore if he was on the island the whole time? You can't just wash up on shore if you're on the island. Meaning, process of elimination, he was on a boat. He was at sea. Therefore, he was washed up on shore. Then you have Mr. Coon Tatum, Mr. Brandon Tatum doing the interviews with these boys. Through his coonery, ladies and gentlemen, it is a blessing because if it wasn't for Mr. Brandon Tatum, we wouldn't know shit squat what transpired of Mr. Nolan, because leave it up to Mississippi, they're trying to sweep this underneath the rug. They're trying to move on. They're like, yo, that happened on July 4th. That was so last month ago. It's a whole new month. As a matter of fact, it's about to be September. Why y'all still talking about it? Leave it up to Mississippi. Speaking of Mississippi, do you know how many unfortunate events transpired in the last few months? Rest in peace to Tasia Fortune, found hanging from a tree in the back of a vacant house. Then they want to talk about, oh, well, black people, they're depressed. So, life is hard. Bills be billing. Stop the cap. But if it was one of their own, they would raise hell and what? They would raise hell and hot water for their own. But because it's a melanated person, because it's somebody with a darker skin complexion, just sweeping up the rug. We don't care. Stop the cap.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at? All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
You don't need help from the United States Coast Guard, but you're sinking? Why are you denying help if you're in the middle of distress? She says, yo, do you want some help? And his response is no. That's some crazy work. Also, if you listen closely to the audio, initially, he's like, yo, can you come help? And then immediately, somebody in the background says, yo, Warren, shut the F up. And his attitude and his demeanor completely changes after somebody in the background says, shut the F up. So what was the purpose of calling in the first place?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
Shout out to Handsome Squad. He says, not being mean, but remorse means you are sorry for doing something wrong. I think you mean sympathy. I appreciate you for your input, but no, my title for this video is accurate. They're not showing remorse because they want to pull up to Brandon Tatum's podcast, but they can't show up to Nolan Wells' funeral, talking about they're scared of death threats. So they're very remorseful because they know they did something wrong by not pulling up to the boy's funeral. They know they did something wrong by holding his cell phone and his belongings when the mother was asking for her son's belongings. They held it. They know they're wrong because Nolan Wells called Mr. Tristan multiple times and he was, quote unquote, asleep. So Nolan Wells' friends have a very interesting way in showing remorse. Let's go back to the content.
If not, I can send you a text message.
Alright, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm available.
North 3 degrees, by 4672.
All right, 4672. All right, and you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Ted, the commentator, 5364 says, what's going on here? Nolan Wells passed away on the 4th of July. He was found 48 hours later on the shore of Horn Island. They're talking about the boy was on the island, but his body was washed up on the shore. That doesn't make any sense. Also, they said that he was fully clothed, even though pictures are showing him half, only trunks on his body, shirtless. Also, the back of his head had bruises, and his hyoid bone, which is in the throat, was missing in a second autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick, a former NFL player. Too many red flags. Too many red flags. Also, the mother of Nolan Wells, Christine Wells, they're harassing her at her place of occupation, leaving her bad reviews so she can be homeless. So not only did the mother lose her child, they're trying to make her homeless in the street. Also, they're saying that how come she's raising a GoFundMe and she's a grifter? So they're accusing the mother, just recently lost her child, and she's trying to find answers, because if she was to leave it up to Mississippi, she would be left out astray. The first autopsy was sealed and it's not going to be released until there is a grand jury. And who's to say there is going to be a grand jury? I don't think there's going to be a grand jury, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why she's about to receive almost $1 million. So she can have people like Ben Crump. She can have this case raised and to get the attention that it rightfully deserves. Because once again, leave it up to Mississippi. They're trying to move on. But I want to talk about Mississippi real quick.
He was 21 years old. He was a student at Georgia State here in Atlanta, Georgia. He was found hanging from a tree in Marietta. His death was ruled suicide. This is Juliana Nzita. She was 16 years old. She was 16 years old. She was found hanging from a tree in Charlotte, North Carolina. They found her hanging from a tree from a ratchet strap. They ruled her case death by suicide. This Tornado Miller, she was originally from Flint, Michigan. She was found hanging from a tree in Miami, Florida. Black women don't hang themselves from trees. Her case was also ruled death by suicide. This is Miss Tasia Fortune. She was 29 years old, mother of 4. She was just recently found hanging from a tree August of this year, 2026, in Jackson, Mississippi. It's really hard for me to make this video because, like, as a Black American male, I feel so voiceless. Like, what are Black American men supposed to do to protect Black women in this country? Not only from the predators at hand from our own race, but the evils that be from other races. What do we do?
That's a lot of killings in a few weeks to months, ladies and gentlemen. Rest in peace to Miss Tasia Fortune, once again caught hanging from a tree in the back of a vacant house. But they want people to move on. Oh, just another Black found hung from a tree. That's not a big deal. Let's move on. She did it to herself. And ironically, when these things happen, nobody saw nothing. Nobody, ladies and gentlemen, I can barely go outside to walk my dog. I can barely go 5 to 10 miles above the speed limit if I get caught. But somebody can hang somebody and nobody saw nothing? That's some crazy work.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir?
Y'all heard that in the background, and people want to tell you what you heard. Imagine you hearing something, then you have other content creators talking about, oh no, nobody said in the background to shut the F up. Y'all making up stuff. What?
Give me a description. Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd you
Hello?
say? Hey,
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down there.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkinson. I think it's Jerry Atkinson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't
All
have the
right,
tag
unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right, and is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right, do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
So, yo, why would you deny help if you're sinking? Like, that's some crazy work. So imagine you being, having some car troubles on the side of the road. You call for help, and then your response is no. So why did you call in the first place, my guy? And they was receiving the help initially before he even called for help. Too many inconsistent stories, too many red flags, and that's why I'm covering this content, ladies and gentlemen, to shed light to the situation, to stop the cap, because people let other people tell you to move on, knowing that Nolan Wells had bruise in the back of his head. His hyoid bone was missing from his throat. The boy was found 48 hours later on shore. If your body was floating on shore, they would have found you way sooner. I could find a cat, and uh, you know how hard it is to find a cat outside. I could find a cat faster than they can find a human body, let alone a melanated person. This is a minority. Nobody saw the ninja on the island. Stop the cap. But let the next person tell you, oh man, Nolan Wells, he passed away by natural causes. He was intoxicated. You know how boys are. Boys gonna be boys. Just move on, bro. That was so last month. So, ladies and gentlemen, leave it up to Mississippi. They sealed the first autopsy. We won't know what happened to Nolan Wells until there was a grand jury. It's only by Mr. Colin Kaepernick funding the second autopsy read by Mr. Ben Crump. And I believe it should have been the medical examiner reading those results, not a civil rights lawyer. But I digress. So Mr. Ben Crump is reading off these results and they want the mother to move on. On top of that, they're saying, why are you going so hard for your son? They're mad. They're calling the mother a grifter. They're harassing the mother. They're trying to make her homeless. And all she's trying to do is find answers. She subpoenaed social media platforms such as Snapchat, TikTok, etc., to find out answers. And she's getting hate just for trying to find the truth. Also, what I don't understand, these boys, they want to show up to Mr. Brennan Tatum's podcast, but they can't show up to the funeral because they're scared of death threats. Can you imagine? That's your alleged best friend, but you can't pull up to the funeral because your scary ass can't show face because you're scared of death threats? Then Mr. Tristan talking about Nolan Wells, he's a walking ray of sunshine. Everywhere he went, he made everybody smile. This and the third. But then the same mouth of where he's giving praise to Nolan Wells, he wants to say, oh, Nolan Wells not even fully black. Did y'all know that? He's half Asian, half black. Then he repeats himself. So why are you going on a podcast giving your eulogy? Because that's what he really wants to say in the funeral. So this is his eulogy. Then also a red flag, ladies and gentlemen. These boys was ice cold quiet until the autopsy was released by and read by Mr. Ben Crump. So when the autopsy gets released, that's when these boys want to go out on podcasts and open their choppers and speak about Nolan Wells. But prior to that, y'all was ice cold quiet. Also, ladies and gentlemen, in an ongoing case, why are you talking when you should stay silent? You should have your lawyer represent you. You have the right to remain silent. Nobody read them their rights.
Right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
So these boys are incriminating themselves once again because The more they talk, the more people are going to dissect the body language. They're going to dissect every single word that these boys are saying because that's all the public has is these boys' testimony talking to Mr. Coon, Brandon Tatum.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees by 4672.
All right, 4672. All right, and you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a...
This man talking about, yeah, what? You called her. What you mean, yeah, what? So use your spirit of discernment. This man is distracted, Mr. Warren, the guy that's losing weight like he's trying to fight in boxing to catch weight. He's sick. He calls for help. The dispatcher says, can you hear me? He says, yeah, what? He's distracted.
VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right, well, let's try to get you
Why are you getting so frustrated when you're the one that called for help?
going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right, looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We were sinking, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to go into the audio of the boys talking of Mr. Nolan and Mr. Tristan. This is what really raised my eyebrows. For him to go on a podcast and to throw Nolan Wells underneath the bus talking about he's not fully black, he's half Asian, that is some nasty work. Instead of speaking of Nolan Wells in a positive light, for example, he could go on a podcast and say, you know, Nolan Wells was the first person to actually be a great friend to me. I wish I had the opportunity to actually answer his phone calls when he called me, but allegedly I was asleep. I would do everything. I would have done everything in my power to make sure that Nolan Wells was still alive today, but unfortunately he is not, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. Nolan Wells always was a positive ray of sunshine. He always had a smile on his face. He was energetic. He was uplifting. He was a brother. And it pains my heart to say that I will never have the opportunity to say Nolan Wells goodbye. Anything. But instead, he wants to use his choppers. He wants to open up his mouth and say Nolan Wells is not fully black. He's half Asian. You know why he said that statement? By Mr. Tristan. He said that statement because he's mixed as well. He's a mulatto. And he's getting attacked saying like, bruh, you're not even fully black. So instead of taking it on the chin, he wants to play the victim as if he's not living. Bro, you have the opportunity to wake up every single day. Nolan Wells doesn't. But these boys want to go on a podcast crying over spilled milk, talking about they're getting harassed when they go out to eat. They can't even enjoy their meal in peace because their eyes are burning through their skin. So y'all want to play victim. But you can't show up to the funeral and show your proper respect because you're scared for your life. Why are you scared for? If my best friend passed away, I'm not scared of death threats. But you want to show up to a podcaster of all podcasters, Mr. Brandon Tatum's, of all the choice of all the YouTubers, you selected Brandon Tatum. And Brandon Tatum, he is pandering to these boys. He's coaching these boys. Look at their demeanor. They don't know what to say. Also, let's talk about the facts, ladies and gentlemen. Whose idea was it to talk on the internet about an ongoing investigation? Because that's what it is. You're incriminating yourself the more you speak. You're supposed to shut the F up and let your lawyer represent you. The only time these boys are supposed to say anything is when they're in the court of law, They show up to the podium at the judge, at the stand, say, guilty, not guilty, no contest, this, that, and the third. But they want to show up on a YouTube podcast like it's a Netflix special. Speaking of Netflix special, I believe Tyler Perry is going to make a movie out of the situation. He funded the funeral, and he's going to get all that bread back when he makes this movie. And through the movie, people are going to want to find answers. It has all the works to make a blockbuster movie funded by Tyler Perry that paid for the funeral.
Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
Can y'all, so this is Warner speaking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Can y'all please come? Then she says, do you want help from the Coast Guard? He says no. So something happened in the background to change his demeanor. Now let's go back to Mr. Tristan being a whole ass ninja.
Drag their name and to drag me down. And I'm supposed to be one of y'all. And you're supposed to have my back, and we're supposed to be in this together. And it's really
So Tristan's crying that he doesn't have the support of the Black community. So now because he doesn't have the support of the Black community, he's going to throw Nolan Wells underneath the bus.
opening.
Did it shock you that it turned this way? Meaning that, you see everything happen. Nolan was your friend. From all the young men I talked to, it seemed like Nolan was the life of the party. Everybody loved Nolan. He gets along with everybody. Everybody's cool. And everybody feels like Nolan made them feel like everybody's his best friend, right? I mean,
Well,
everybody felt connected to Nolan. Were you shocked that it turned like this? I mean, where this community was tight-knit, Nolan's friend group was tight. He ends up losing his life in an unfortunate situation, which nobody knows exactly what happened. Did it shock you that it turned into some racial thing?
Yes, racial, I do agree. Now, it going famous or going viral, that part didn't shock me. Thinking about it and being honest, like, that's not a surprise because everybody did love Nolan. Especially around here, everybody loved Nolan. So for people to repost that, they know Nolan. I mean, they know he did not have one hateful thing in his heart. And racism, no, that was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad.
So any mother is entitled to assume. So hold on. Everybody else gets to go home except for the ninja. How come everybody else gets to enjoy the comfort of their bed or wherever they lay their head at? But of all the people, that minority is gone. This is not a scary movie. How come the Black man has to die? Now, what I can do is hold Nolan Wells accountable is that he should have used the spirit of discernment. I understand he was in a very upscale neighborhood to where majority of the people around him was Caucasian. So his friends, ladies and gentlemen, was only white boys for the most part. Of course, he had some Black friends, but majority of his friends on all the pictures, he is the only ninja in the group. And when I see that in my life, ladies and gentlemen, when I see the only ninja in a group of, I'll be making like eye contact. I'm like, yo, blink twice, man. Are you in the sunken place? Blink twice if you need help, my guy. When are we going to learn? Now, with that same take, not all skin folk is kinfolk. You can't trust somebody just because they share the same skin complexion as you. That is some ignorant ass. But with that same take, you can't be the only ninja, one of the only ninjas on the island. Because let's say Nolan Wells' friends didn't have to do with anything with Nolan Wells passing. If they're his best friends, ladies and gentlemen, have you been intoxicated so much where you're in an altered state to where you don't even know where you at? And it's because of the grace of your best friend that you woke up the next day and you're like, yo, what happened? And your friend is like, yo, you was throwing up on yourself, you was passed out, but I got you, bro. You're good. Yeah, you may wake up hungover. Yeah, you may possibly potentially lost your job because you slept in, but at least you have your life. A best friend's going to look out for you. A best friend will hold your head up straight so you're not choking on your own vomit. A best friend would change your clothes and put a clean shirt on your body. A best friend will put you on their couch, at least put you on the floor, at least put you in the car. You may wake up the next morning in the car like, damn, where am I? You're safe. Your friend got you. Now, your friend is not obligated to be your caretaker, but once again, these people are saying Nolan Wells is their best friend. Your best these words are used too loosely. I think they're going on this interview to try to make amends to put the pressure off of them. But by interviewing with Mr. Brandon Tatum, they made this situation 100 times worse. Talking about Nolan Wells not even fully black. What?
That's a shock. That's that's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I'm not gonna. I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though. You don't.
Bruh, what was the purpose in saying that? So people can stop donating to Nolan Wells because in his mind, he already got cut off. So he's going to cut off Nolan Wells because when people hear that Nolan Wells not fully black, he's trying to stop the black community from donating to the GoFundMe. I don't understand. Why did you say that? The same tongue you're praising Nolan, you want to throw him underneath the bus by saying he's not fully black. That's some crazy work.
Agree now. It going famous or going viral, that part didn't shock me. Thinking about it and being honest, like that's not a surprise because everybody did love Nolan, especially around here. Everybody loved Nolan. So for people to repost that, they know Nolan. I mean, they know he did not have one hateful thing in his heart.
Let me see this comment right here. I'm glad you made this comment so we can shed light to the ignorance. So you said dog football. He says, or he just stayed in the fact that he wasn't fully black. Once again, Nolan Wells just passed. What purpose was it to say on a podcast that Nolan was not fully black? Like, what was your gain in saying that? People giving him donations, they're supporting him. By you saying that he's not fully black, what was your agenda? That's on your mind. Of all things to say, you could have said, yo, man, I wish I had the opportunity to be next to Nolan instead of that Kaden McCormick that they said that Nolan was last with. I wish I had the opportunity to answer the phone calls because he said that he was asleep when Nolan Wells called him. I wish I could have answered at least one of his two calls. Maybe he would still be here today. But instead of all words and of all things to say, he wants to say that Nolan Wells not fully black. Why did you say that? Then you got people in a chat having no sympathy, don't understand. They just want people to stop talking about it. Oh man, black fatigue. Why you keep talking about Nolan Wells? He passed away, man. But also, ladies and gentlemen, if it was one of your own, God forbid, because we can't wish ill upon nobody. If it was one of your own, you would be restless. You wouldn't be able to go to sleep. Also, how come the blood work hasn't been released of Nolan Wells? Because the blood is going to show everything what's in the system. If there was a controlled substance in Nolan Wells' blood, that means the friends of Nolan is also going to be held accountable. Meaning that people like Bart that's trying to go into the league is going to be cooked. Meaning that the friends of Nolan is going to be cooked because how are you going to have a controlled substance and you're trying to get a legit job? That's why I think the blood work hasn't been released, and the first autopsy is sealed not to be released if there's a grand jury. And these boys are not going to have no grand jury. Let's keep it a stack.
And racism, no, that was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though. You don't. So to turn it as like somebody's harping down on Nolan because of the color of his skin, you don't know us. You don't know our community.
I really don't want to know your community because Miss Tasia Fortune, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks after Nolan passed away, Tasia Fortune was found hung from a tree in the back of a vacant house in Mississippi. And nobody saw anything. It's always nobody sees anything. Let's move on to the next audio.
I don't think I don't care what anyone says about my relationship with someone else. I know my relationship with Nolan. Nolan knew his relationship with me. I know who my best friend is, and he knew that too. I mean, he knew our relationship. But so basically, like, no one can tell me how I feel about someone or how someone felt about me, especially someone who's gone now. I mean, Nolan knew the relationship we had, but describing Nolan, like, that man was the funniest dude ever.
Always
like,
had a smile on his face.
Always,
I mean,
dude. Like,
he was, if you need.
Velma says, I agree. He did not have to mention if Nolan was not fully black. It's sickening. Absolutely. But yeah, people in the chat like dog football saying, oh, he's stating facts. Why are you stating that he's not fully black in an interview? For what? What was your purpose? Oh my God, the sun is yellow. Oh my God, the water is clear. Like, what was the purpose of you saying that Nolan was not fully black? You threw him underneath the bus because, once again, foundational Black Americans, FBA, they're a highly honest case and they're on the ass of these kids. By saying that he's half Asian, what was your point? What was your agenda? What was your motive? He's not fully black. He's half Asian. What? If I'm getting attacked and my friend passed away and I'm at a YouTube podcast, I'm not saying, oh yeah, my friend's not even fully black. He's half Asian. Why am I even thinking that? I'm going to speak nothing but kind words. I'm going to say, yo, I wish I could have done something in my power so that Nolan Wells could be here today. But instead, you have Mr. Tristan with his arm crossed around his body, because body language, when your arms are crossed around your body, you're trying to protect yourself. He talks in a very monotone, stern voice, talking about Nolan Wells not fully black, but y'all don't hear that though. What? And you know what's crazy? Where people in the comments talking about, so what? Crazy work.
First off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though.
Why did he say that? Once again, your best friend passed away and you want to talk about race? No, because, ladies and gentlemen, when you cut, I don't care if you're yellow, blue, orange, when you're bleeding, we all share the same color. Red is red. We're talking about a human life that was found 48 hours later. Why was he so hard to find if he was allegedly on the island the whole time? Why was he so hard to find? Then miraculously they found him on the coast of the shore floating. Then his body was so decomposed they can't even get the autopsy released. They have to be funded by Colin Kaepernick. And ladies and gentlemen, what I take from this situation as well, if the family didn't get donations and the family didn't get funded by Colin Kaepernick to have the second autopsy released, we wouldn't know. How many other cases for families that didn't have the funds to have the proper resource to bring out truth, that these cases got swept underneath the rug? But they want to tell you that racism doesn't exist in America. Meanwhile, people are being found hung from a tree like a Christmas ornament, just dangling from a tree branch. Oh, there's no racism in America. Move on, man. Now, to have racism compared to 1924 is not even close. What a time to be alive. No soy dominicano, pero ya tú sabes. It's not even close to what it used to be. But to say that it doesn't exist is very ignorant to say.
You don't. So to turn it as like somebody's harping down on Nolan because of the color of his skin, you don't know us. You don't.
Laugh. I think Nolan would be the only person, one of the only people I would call.
Man, I ain't ever seen him like mad.
He was
the peacemaker of our friend
was.
group. I mean, anytime anybody had beef over somebody, over a girl or whatever, he would go over there and start talking to him. He's like, man, I think this guy's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, this guy's
I
actually
don't think
cool.
we should. I think we should become friends with this guy. Yeah. And lo and behold, we would somehow become friends with the dude, even though he's getting with one of our other buddies' exes or whatever. But yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, Nolan's great. Like, I'm
awesome.
like most
Great
genuine guy
kid.
ever.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, like I said, lights up a room when he walks in it. But like, no, I'm not
No
joking.
jokes.
Like,
Why did he say that he tries to be cool with everybody, even though we try to get with each other exes. Is that what transpired? Because the truth comes out eventually. The more you talk, the more the truth will come out. Is that what the fight was about?
It's like an
No
understatement.
joke.
It's,
I mean, he's great, dude. Like, most genuine guy I've ever met in my life.
These boys are crying that they made a whole GoFundMe. So they want to attack the mother and they're trying to make her jobless, leaving her bad reviews. They're saying that she's a grifter for having a GoFundMe. So these boys, I don't see no energy for Nolan Wells' friends making a GoFundMe. Where's the energy for his friends? They're the victims? How are you a victim and they're alive? So stand with Nolan Wells' targeted friends. Can you imagine? They raised over 100K. Sorry, the goal is 100K. They raised over 40K. And this is an old screenshot. They probably got way more than that. People actually donating bread to Nolan Wells' friends as if they're the victims. Sick.
And like, I know when people like, I know I've seen like when people pass a lot, everybody says good things, obviously. And, this isn't just me like being respectful to know him. Like, dude, that was like one of the best guys I've ever met. Man.
I've only ever seen him mad once.
So at this point, they're making a mockery. When have you seen an ongoing investigation taking place and the potential suspects are going on a YouTube podcast talking about the case? Whose idea was that?
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
You have the right to remain silent, and they was silent until the autopsy got released. Then all of a sudden, they want to have an ESPN, a Barbara Walters 60 Minutes. Like, bruh. Also, we have to keep in mind as well that these boys' parents are judges, law officials, people of high rank. And that's why the first autopsy is sealed. Who gave them permission to seal the first autopsy? Release the information. We have to find out the second autopsy funded by a ex-former NFL player. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have known.
Literally once. That's it. One time. And it was over something stupid. Yeah. But that was the only time I've ever seen him mad. Other than that, he was always smiling or trying to figure out what we're doing that night or whatever. And then again, like, our relationship really started around, would you say, like, freshman year, high school? Like,
well, I was like, a little closer with him before y'all because, like, obviously, like I told Brandon last time, like 8th grade COVID year is when Nolan and I like really started hanging out, and then we all started hanging out going into high school. But man, that dude's funny. Life of the party. Like, had so much fun. Like, we had so much fun together. Like, even going up to like Starkville where Morgan goes to school, and like just every
freshman
Oxford,
Destin.
Like, it was fun. Yeah, dude, it's fun. He's awesome. He's great.
And so there was a conversation that we had, Warren, last time about you not going or ever being at his house, and people took that as if you weren't his friend. Can you guys describe what engagement did you have with Nolan at his house, with his parents, him with your parents? Like, how did all that circulate?
Well, like Jack said, like, he used to pick up Nolan every day. I used to pick up Nolan every day. My buddy Wyatt used to pick up Nolan. Like, literally would pick. We didn't make Nolan drive anywhere.
That's how much we loved him, bro.
Like,
we just always wanted to be
like,
there.
that's how much.
I heard that. They didn't let Nolan drive anywhere. So he was always around them. It just goes to show that you can't put trust in no man because man will fail you every time. He didn't know that was going to happen. And once again, even if they didn't do or have any partake in Nolan Wells' death, if this is your best friend and he's intoxicated, you should know somewhat. It's not like he was just, not at an altered state. Okay, cool. He is fully capable of knowing what's going on, but he was altered. On top of that, the blood work hasn't been released, ladies and gentlemen. How come? Is it because there's a controlled substance in the blood? If there's a controlled substance in Nolan Wells' blood, that means his friends also did the controlled substance, meaning that potential job offers, Mr. Bart trying to go to the NFL is done for. And that's why in my take, I believe the seal for the first autopsy has not been released and won't be released until there is a grand jury. And I don't think there will ever be a grand jury.
Like everybody knows this too. Like Nolan didn't drive. Like especially at least in our friend group, because Nolan, we always pick Nolan up, regardless of where it was. Like literally on July 3rd, Nolan rode with me and like rode with me to Wyatt's because we had to get parts for a boat. But anyway, just for it's crazy that like I think it's kind of sad that like people. I have some friends of mine that I'm very very close with, and I just don't know their parents. We're grown men. You don't have to know someone's parents to be close with them. And for someone's like them to come out and be like, oh, well, y'all aren't friends with somebody. Well, how are you going to tell me like my relationship with somebody else? It's crazy. Like they've said this all about us, like, oh, we're fake friends. Well, that's really horrible to say, because if you go look on,
you are a fake ass friend. And it's eating you alive. These boys want to cry to a Brandon Tatum, an ex-officer, talking about they can't even go out to eat because people keep staring at them and they are making them feel uncomfortable. What? So instead of saying, yo, man, I am unable to sleep, all I think about is Nolan. He was such a good friend. He didn't deserve this. I'm more than willing to find what happened to my quote unquote best friend. But instead, they want to open their mouth and say they feel some type of way because people keep staring at them in public. Also, these boys said on the record they can't even go to the gas station to buy hot Cheetos and Red Bull for work because they're getting denied service. Oh my gosh, cry me a river. So y'all pushing out victim BS. When people push out victim BS, run away from those people, block those people. Don't associate with those people. Victim mindset is satanic. You're a grown man at the age of 17 down south, ladies and gentlemen. You're a grown man. You can go to federal prison at the age of 17 in Texas, TDC, Texas Directional Center. You're a grown ass man, but you want to cry talking about, oh man, I can't even go out to eat. I can't buy hot Cheetos at the corner store. Stop the cap.
Every social media post on Nolan's Instagram or Facebook or anything else, the only people in it are us and his football guys. Like that's just so real. Every time Nolan's in Starkville, he's with us. Every time Nolan.
Hold on. The moment you get racist, you're out of here. You can speak your mind, you can disagree, but when you start saying blacks can't swim, end of story, that's some crazy work, man. Stay respectful in the comment section. You can voice your opinion, but don't go racist, because on this platform, we are not going to spread racism. And that's what a lot of content creators are pushing, talking about stay away from the white man, as if the white man is going to monitor you 24/7 within the privacy of your home. The white man is not going to control me going outside doing what the F I want to do. The white man is not going to stop me. I don't have to answer to Massa to go outside and walk my dog. Massa, am I allowed to use the restroom, Massa? We're not going to spread division here, because united we stand, justice for all. We're here to find out what happened to somebody, because regardless of what color you are, when you bleed, that color is the same color. It's red. We're trying to find answers. We're not here trying to talk. We're not here trying to spread hate, talking about stay away from the white man. And that's what a lot of content creators are doing. Oh my gosh, I never saw white people like this before. Oh my God, I'm scared of them. If you're so scared, quit your 9 to 5. If you're so scared, don't go to your local grocery store. If you're so scared, don't drive on the road. If you're so scared, move out of your place of dwelling, because they're everywhere. So imagine people, and I understand if you're a adolescent, if you're a young child making content like stay away from a certain ethnic group, that's ignorance. But you have people 40, 50, 60, 70 plus with kids, grandkids, talking about stay away from the white man. Now, one thing I will say on this platform is that use your spirit of discernment. Don't be the only ninja at a function. Personally, I got invited to a function at my place of occupation. I'm like, hold on, I'm the only minority? What do I look like? Now, 9 times out of 10, they probably wouldn't do anything, but still, I've seen too much history to put my trust to be the only ninja at a function. That's something that we're not going to do.
Anywhere, not even just Starkville, but anywhere.
Oh yeah, we went on countless vacations
From
and
prom, homecoming, everything. No one's with us because we were his friends. It's not that hard to understand. I mean, I don't have to prove this to anybody, but that's the truth. I don't have to prove my friendship, and these guys feel the same way. We don't have to prove our friendship with Nolan,
But that's what you're doing. You're contradicting yourself. If you didn't have to prove your friendship, why did you show up on that Brandon Tatum's podcast talking about Nolan Wells this, Nolan Wells that, but you can't pull up to the funeral because your ass is scared of death threats? Your scary ass stayed away from the funeral. If you was truly, quote unquote, innocent, what you scared of?
I know what's right.
Yeah, so was Nolan around your family then?
Oh, yeah. Nolan was always around our houses. I mean, I can even say this. Nolan and Wyatt's dad had a secret friendship that we weren't even in.
Yeah, they were like best friends.
We would go over to Wyatt's house, and Nolan, we would all be in the backyard, whatever, doing something, and Nolan would be inside on the couch with Wyatt's dad, and they would just be cutting it up all night.
Yeah, watching movies together. Like
Scarface is their favorite movie.
Yeah.
They'd watch Scarface
all the time.
But it really shows you like the effect like all this has had on everybody, not including just our friend group, but like our friends' parents and my parents. Like our friends were really, and families were really close with Nolan. And
Yo, people, these racists in the comment section are really getting upset talking about people like me spreading rumors when I'm spreading nothing but facts. You know what the facts are? The facts are that Nolan Wells was found 48 hours later after the 4th of July, and he was the only ninja that was deceased when everybody else had the opportunity to go home. Also, do you know what the facts is that his throat, higher bone in his throat, was missing from his throat. That's the facts. You know what the facts is as well? Is that it was funded by a football player, the autopsy, but the first autopsy wasn't released to be, it's actually sealed. Who gave them permission to seal that autopsy when the mother's trying to find answers? That's the facts, not rumors. You know what also is the facts? Is that if it wasn't for the second autopsy being released, we wouldn't even know that his throat was missing. His hyoid bone in his throat was missing. We wouldn't know his lungs was missing. We wouldn't know the bruises in the back of his head was even coexisting. Can you believe that? You know what the facts are? That the boy was found shirtless, but they said that he was fully clothed. You know what the facts are? Is that the boys want to say that he was on the island. How could you be on the island if your body was found on shore and they took 2 days to find the boy? It doesn't take that long to find somebody if he was on the island. That's the facts. But once again, people are tired of hearing it because of black fatigue. They don't have no sympathy, ladies and gentlemen. And we are living in a world of NPCs and demons. So when you look at this chat and you see people having no remorse for a boy that was found 48 hours later, but everybody else gets to go home, that is a huge red flag. Also, another red flag is how come the blood work hasn't been released yet? Because the blood shows everything. The blood will show if there was a controlled substance in his body. And I believe the reason why they're sealing the blood work is because, once again, if he has a controlled substance in his blood, that means Nolan Wells' friends also was partaking in that activity. Thus, the blood hasn't been released. Thus, the first autopsy hasn't. How are we talking about the second autopsy? But we can't talk about the first autopsy. It's sealed. Who gave them permission to seal it? When the mother's trying to find answers, then they're trying to ridicule. They're trying to make the mother homeless. That's the facts in the chat. Where people talking about I'm spreading rumors. That's the facts. They're trying to make the mother homeless, calling her a grifter, leaving her bad reviews when she hasn't even been at work. So the nursing board actually closed the case of her potentially losing her job. And let's show receipts, because people want to say I'm spreading rumors, but not on this platform. We don't spread rumors over here. So let me find it. Give me a second.
I mean, this has been a horrible tragedy, not just for us, but for our families and friends too. My mom knew Nolan because she used to drive us from Waffle House to school once a week. My stepdad knew Nolan because he used to drive us. My dad, everybody, like.
And he'd always come to the house too all the time.
And not just that, but like I'm talking about like from a young age, like from 8th grade. But Nolan would always be at our houses, stay at our houses, and for his parents to come out and say, "Oh, well, we don't know these boys." Well, then does that mean you don't know where your kid's staying at night? Because he was staying at our houses. So.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview.
Asked about his phone along with 5 other people.
A link is going to be in my description if you want to watch the full interview of Mr. Coon Tatum's podcast.
That also left their phones on the boat, and we had to wait at the boat launch for them to come and pick them up, including Javon. I mean, Javon left his phone on our boat.
Yeah, Javon is one of the guys in the friend group.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Javon's a friend of mine, friend of ours. Like, not as tight as Nolan. Javon's in the class under me in school, and he's a friend of mine. But just like a lot of our other friends, Javon's our friend. He left the phone on the boat because we're trustworthy people. We're not going to steal something. We're not going to delete pictures off of someone's phone. We're not going to delete text messages. We're not going to get on anyone's phone because we have no reason to.
Just because you say that you're not doing that doesn't mean that it's true. It sounds good, but once again, just because you're saying it doesn't mean that it's true. So we're supposed to believe these boys just because they're giving their testimonies. If that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, then nobody would be caught up in the court of law. They would just lie and say that they didn't do the action and they would walk away free. So we have to understand it sounds good. They're trying to use, kind, sweet words. Nolan was this and that, third. He was always at our house. Then they throw the mother underneath the bus saying that the mother doesn't even know where her child's at because Nolan's always with us. Stuff like that, you got to keep to yourself. The only thing that these boys are obligated to say is that I am innocent. I don't know anything, no whereabouts where Nolan was at. It's very unfortunate. I wish I knew so he could still be here. But everything else, they should take it on the chin out of respect for the family. And they should also understand why the mother is trying to find answers and why she's so distraught. But yet they're trying to throw her name under the bus, make her homeless. Now, I want to show you a screenshot of what these boys are doing to harass the mother. So she's a nurse, Miss Celeste Wells. Miss Christine Wells, sorry. August 5th, nationally renowned civil rights and personal attorney Ben Crump issued a statement after Christine Wells Wansley, the mother of Nolan Wells, was notified that the Mississippi Board of Nursing has opened a professional misconduct investigation against her based on a complaint filed by a unanimous person. Nolan Wells was found on Hornet Island on July 6th. 48 hours later, his cause of death remains undetermined, and an independent autopsy was inconclusive. Attorney Crump issued the following statement. Christine Wells Wansley was robbed of her son 1 month ago, almost to the day, excuse me, this is super tiny print. She has spent every moment since asking one question: what happened to Nolan? Now someone is going after her nursing license unanimously without the courage to put their name on it. What a coward. So they're trying to make her homeless on top of her losing her son. This is a warning shot at a grieving mother, meant to pressure and scare her into staying quiet. It is a distraction. It is intimidation, and we will not let it stand. Christine had part of her identity stolen from her the day Nolan died. Now someone is trying to take another piece of it. This cruelty knows no bounds. They're trying to make her homeless on top of her losing her child. And all she's trying to do is find answers.
But Javon left his phone, and we gave Javon his phone back along with everybody else who left their phone on the boat. So
yeah, we'll get to that because I think I have the timeline in my mind. So you guys, the boat is taking in water. You had already left, Morgan, right? You had already left on the boat. So there's 3 boats. You had already left.
That's a great question. Where is Katie? If she's the last person that Nolan was with, how come she's not on these YouTube podcasters talking about it? Maybe because she has enough dignity to not talk about something on an ongoing. First of all, when have you witnessed an ongoing investigation and the potential suspects are going on a YouTube podcast talking about the situation? That is very idiotic. You're supposed to remain silent and let your lawyer represent you. That's a terrible idea for them to go on a YouTube podcast talking about a case that still not has been solved, because we're in the back end of August going to September. We still don't know what happened to this young man. If he did pass away of natural causes, how come nobody saw anything? How come the blood work hasn't been released to show what's in the blood? If he had some type of controlled substance, if he was truly, quote unquote, an alcoholic, if he was altered, obviously he was. But we don't know that because the blood work hasn't been released. How come the first autopsy has been sealed not to be released until there's a grand jury? And I don't think there ever will be a grand jury. Too many red flags in the story, ladies and gentlemen. Too many inconsistent stories not adding up. Talking about he was on the island, he was on a boat. Which one is it?
About 5 minutes before this situation happened, the last two boats was Bart's boat and Wyatt's boat, and those are the two boats that left out because Bart was kind of towing Wyatt's boat out. So you guys are on the boat. What was the conversation with Nolan? Because Nolan obviously had come in on Wyatt's boat. You guys are all getting ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my time. I'm going to go to the polls before I get out of here. Do me a favor and put your votes in the voting poll and let me know your thoughts. We got over 400 votes in the building. 78% says no, and 22% says yes. Nolan Wells' friends are innocent. For the ones that think their friends are innocent, please let me know in the comment section. I'm going to land my plane with this, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your head on a swivel because the energy is just very weird nowadays. Too many melanated, too many minorities are passing, being found from a tree. Rest in peace to Miss Tasia Fortune. And nobody saw anything. It always comes to a case where nobody saw anything. But if you go 5 miles above the speed limit, your ass getting pulled over. Stop the cap. Don't live in fear, but keep your head on a swivel. Stay alert now more than ever. Stay prayed up. And rest in peace to Mr. Nolan Wells, man. And may the truth come out in a world full of lies.
Again, and this is just me now speaking from a medical standpoint, we're kind of stuck in one of the stages of grief because we don't have answers. And that's the thing people don't understand. Everyone grieves differently. You hit those stages of grief at different times, and sometimes you feel like they might go on at the same time. But right now, we're kind of just stuck, and we can't move forward because we don't have answers.
So when you talk about all the things that have been spread, there is this officer, I hate mentioning his name, a former officer who is a far right wing, who's been doing the interviews and has been saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on Brandon Tatum. No.
I respect that. And that's the right answer for everybody, I believe. And I feel like, because I mentioned him, and I'm like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a platform.
No, he does not.
So let's talk about the people, the young men that he's been interviewing. They're saying they're his best friends. Some of them you said that you don't know. One of them even said, "Oh, Nolan would be outraged by the way his parents are handling this." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, why on earth would somebody go on and say that about a grieving family?" But
again, distraction. We're not even going to address them or that man.
This is Kyle Basinga. He was 21 years old. He was a student at Georgia State here in Atlanta, Georgia. He was found hanging from a tree in Marietta. His death was ruled suicide. This is Juliana Nzita. She was 16 years old. She was 16 years old. She was found hanging from a tree in Charlotte, North Carolina. They found her hanging from a tree from a ratchet strap. They ruled her case death by suicide. This Tornado Miller, she was originally from Flint, Michigan. She was found hanging from a tree in Miami, Florida. Black women don't hang themselves from trees. Her case was also ruled death by suicide. This is Miss Tasia Fortune. She was 29 years old, mother of 4. She was just recently found hanging from a tree August of this year, 2026, in Jackson, Mississippi. It's really hard for me to make this video because, as a Black American male, I feel so voiceless.
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
Yeah, we do not have a VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. It looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you on Horn Island?
Yes.
All right. Is the
and racism? No. That was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock, because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that, though. You don't. So to turn it as like